A few hours ago, the Olympics officially kicked off in Beijing, but the controversy started before the torch was even lit. Here is House Speaker Nancy Pelosi warning athletes they should keep their political opinions to themselves while they're in China. Watch.
I would say to our athletes, you're there to compete. Do not risk incurring the anger of the Chinese government because they are ruthless. I know there is a temptation on the part of some to speak out while they are there. I respect that, but I also worry about what the Chinese government might do to their reputations, to their families.
Oh, they are there to compete. But I thought you can't separate politics from sports. I thought that sports is very political. Listening to Americans, especially the Democrats, I thought that the presidential debates should be had on the football field because nothing is more political than sports. An army of journalists and intellectuals from the academia, the intelligentsia, America's brightest, just wrote think pieces after think pieces because they thought that you can't separate sports from politics because everything is political. But apparently there is one thing that isn't political. In this world, there exists one thing that isn't political, and that seems to be China. When you're in China, you're there to compete. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Can we bring China into the United States then? Can we become more like China so we can actually watch sports without listening to politics? Is it possible? It seems that the Chinese have found the method. Please send James Bond over to China. Send some American spies to figure out how they did it. How can we accomplish that here? Maybe we can eliminate politics from video games while we're at it. Maybe if you vote left, all of a sudden I'm a communist. Oh, this channel from now on is going to support the USSR and China. I mean, they seem to have the method to eliminate politics from things. I want that here. I want to play a video game without politics. I want to watch a sporting match without politics. Can we do that? Can we ask Chairman Z, how is it how is the method through which you accomplish it? Apparently their country isn't even systemically racist. Like, you know how many Western nations accuse China of oppressing its Uyghur minority? Well, it turns out on MSNBC, and I can't show you the clip because it's copyrighted, but did you know that the Uyghur skier lit up the Olympic flame? Western nations BTF vote. Conspiracy theory debunked. There are absolutely no problems in China regarding the Uyghur minority. If only America could do this, if only America could send some black people into the Olympics, the systemic racism would end. Like, just overnight, boom, it's gone. Like, how can you be systemic racist if you actually have a black person competing in the Olympics? I mean, China has a Uyghur person competing in the Olympics, therefore, no racism. Isn't that how it works? By the way, this to me looks like the same thing. It's like, I'm not a racist, but I have black friends type of argument coming from China. It's like, I'm not doing anything towards the Uyghur population because they're competing in the Olympics. Yeah, this is the solution. Apply the Chinese model. Get more minorities in the Olympics. Get more black people in the Olympics. And then America gets rid of systemic racism. Systemic racism, which I understand is horrible and oppressive and very difficult to live under. Right? But apparently, under systemic racism, you can't criticize the government. You can't take a knee during a football match. You can't do that. And if the president complains, well, the president is just a fascist against free speech because that's what America values the most, free speech, right? So in China, that doesn't happen. So my question is, like, what does China have, more systemic or more racism? Which one of the two? Or is it maybe like a new system entirely that manages to separate politics from sports to the point where you have Nancy Pelosi coming up and saying, hey, don't criticize the Chinese government. It's actually very funny. Like, what do you think would happen if you criticize the Chinese government as an American citizen? Like what? Are they going to create an international scandal? Like, do you honestly think that they will arrest an American athlete Not just like a random nobody. No. Like an American athlete. Do you honestly think they would do that? I know what I'm talking about. Like, they are the Chinese government. Yes, I understand. But I think even they have limits. I think an American citizen that's an athlete wouldn't be persecuted in China because even the Chinese government wants to save face. Do you know what they would probably do? They would deport him. That's what they would do. But that's it. Like, that is the extent. Of course, their career would probably be over because no sponsor would want to work with them because sponsors, they're all about Black Lives Matter, but they're not about Uyghurs' Lives Matter. They don't really care about the atrocities that happen in China. They're all about ending systemic racism, just not in China. I mean, look at the mouse. Haha! It keeps removing black people from its posters when it's promoting movies in China. But when it's in America, they're very progressive, very progressive. Oh, yeah. All of the companies are the same, right? So if you're an athlete and you say bad stuff into China, your career is over because no one is going to want to work with you. But they're not going to do stuff to your family, like Nancy says, exaggerating much. Like, why would they even do that? They don't gain anything. It's not cost effective. Again, they deport your ass, and because no one wants to work with you, no one wants to talk with you. Problem solved, but they don't do anything more than that. They don't want to lose international face. Even Hitler didn't persecute foreign athletes. I mean, they're athletes. They're people of well-renown. Even Djokovic in Australia, which is becoming worse than China. Like, people in Australia, they can escape to China to have more freedoms. Even Djokovic was sent back. They're not going to treat you like you're Julian Assange in the United States. Okay? Like, they have limits. But yes, it's a good idea not to be outspoken in China. Yeah, I do agree. Because you want to keep your career. Yeah, it's a good idea. However, it would also be a good idea if they could also keep quiet in the United States. While they're on the playing field, by the way. Like, when they're outside the playing field and they're giving interviews and stuff, that's different. But on the field, literally, when they're on the field, can they please actually play ball? And behave in a manner that is according to the rules of the game? It's like, oh, well, there's free expression. You got free expression while you're at work. Yes, so they can come with a dildo stick on their forehead. And that is free expression, yes? Can have like a Jesus Christ statue and a dildo holding it on top while the national anthem is playing. And that is free expression. You shouldn't talk about it. Because you can't separate politics from sports. What do you think you are? You're in China? Honestly, this amused me. To no what? Because it's Nancy Pelosi holding the speech about, you're there to compete. I see, Nancy. Yes, like apparently you can separate politics from sports. That's just, it goes against the scientific consensus, Nancy. You're spreading dangerous misinformation. Okay, the scientific consensus says that everything is political, so you cannot separate. I don't know how those athletes are going to do. You're sending them to China, Nancy. Why are you doing this? Why are you sending people to China when you know they can't separate politics from sports? It can't be done. The science consensus is there. Don't you know, Nancy, that silence is violence? Why are you sending violent people to China? Silence is violence. Silence is consent. For bad things to happen, all it takes for good men to do nothing. And you're sending Americans to do that. Horrible. You should be ashamed. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.